The United Kingdom has expressed concerns about free and fair and credible elections and stated that they will not hesitate to sanction any candidates or political parties that violate the electoral process. The British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Laing, while briefing newsmen yesterday in Abuja, expressed optimism that with the new electoral law supported by the UK government, the 2023 elections will be free and fair. She noted that the UK government will use its visa program and human rights sanctions to punish Nigerian politicians involved in electoral violence during and after the 2023 general election.
Generally, in the run-up to this election, we're tracking the data on electoral-related violence, and it is up on the previous election. I think it was almost twice the number of violent incidents. So we've all seen what's been happening, attacks on INEC stations, attacks from one party trying to prevent another party doing a rally and so on. So we are concerned. We're constantly looking out for any attempt to subvert the democratic process, which, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, is so important for Nigeria. And if it is brought to our attention, or if we're aware directly that there are people, for example, inciting violence, whipping up hate speech, or indeed actually conducting violent acts, we can and we will use our visa policy to restrict that individual's ability to enter Nigeria. We also have another tool, which is human rights sanctions. It's a slightly different set of criteria, but the conclusion and result will be the same. We have used these tools in the past. We obviously can't disclose against who for purposes of data protection. On the case of dual nationals, so dual nationals could be subject to certain kinds of ban. It would be a slightly different policy, but you will not be exempt as a dual national from the ability of our Home Office and visa people to, if we feel that you are no longer welcome in the UK because of your conduct in relation to undermining the democratic process, that is a tool we can use.
On the now resigned, the British High Commissioner said the UK is open to sharing its experiences as she urged that the rule of law prevail.
And I think many of us would agree with those laudable aims. But as you say, there's different ways one can do this. In the UK, and we're very happy to share our experience with Nigeria, if rule of law it gives people confidence, whether it's a democratic challenge or a business challenge, the judges must be seen to be acting fairly and impartially. And I think there probably have been some cases in Nigeria where that hasn't always been the case, and we would like to encourage, particularly given the heightened sort of tensions around this election, because so much is at stake, that any challenges, as I said, that go through the courts, there's a big responsibility on the judges to not be put under pressure, to act impartially and to look objectively at the evidence and rule in accordance with the rule of law. Now, there has been some progress, but we all know that women in politics in Nigeria is not a good news story at all. If anything, going backwards, not forwards. I was pleased to say there's one female gubernatorial candidate in Adamawa, but that's not good enough, frankly. And I think one other area which perhaps needs a little bit more work in Nigeria's democratic journey is basically the way the political parties themselves run, including this point about inclusivity, ensuring they are reaching out to all segments of society to ensure their candidates represent Nigeria. So that internal democracy within the parties needs, I think, a more inclusive. That Nigeria overall should be very proud that you have stuck with democracy since 1999. This is an achievement that should not be underestimated. You look at the region you're in, with many countries having coups where presidents are refusing to step down when they reach the end of their tenure. That's not the case in Nigeria. There's never been any question that President Buhari would step down. He himself has said a credible, peaceful election is crucial to his legacy. Good luck, Jonathan handed over to him. He will hand over peacefully to his successor.